Hey students, today's lesson is on samples and populations. So let's start with some vocabulary. We're going to be talking about unbiased and biased samples. So an unbiased sample is representative of a population. It is selected at random and it's large enough to provide accurate data. On the other hand, a biased sample is not representative of a population. One or more parts of the population are favored over others. So we're going to look at some examples of both unbiased and biased samples. In example 1, we want to find which of these possible samples are unbiased. So if we want to estimate the number of students in a high school who ride the bus, we want to choose which sample would be the most unbiased, okay? So here we have 4 students in the hallway, all students in the marching band, 50 seniors at random, or 100 students at random during lunch. Okay, so we know that an unbiased sample is chosen at random, so C and D are probably the best, right, because they're both at random. And I would say D is probably our most unbiased sample because it's not just seniors, it's all students. And if we want to know how many of all students in the high school ride the bus, then we probably want to use a sample that includes all students, not just a particular group. So what makes each of these other samples biased? I'd say A is too small. It's only 4 students, that's not enough. Those 4 students might have just gotten off the bus or maybe just walked to school, so that wouldn't be a good sample. All students in the marching band, that's all of those students are in band, right? So maybe if band is after school, you can't take the bus and be in band, so that's probably not a very good choice. And then this next one is all seniors. Seniors are probably more likely to be driving a car than the rest of the population. So that's probably not a very good representative population. But this last one, 100 students at random, that's a pretty good group. All right, another key idea here is that the results of an unbiased sample are proportional to the results of the population. So you can use an unbiased sample to make predictions about the whole population. Biased samples are not representative of the population, so we shouldn't use those samples to make predictions about the whole population because they might not be valid. So let's look here. If you want to know how residents of your town feel about adding a new stop sign, we want to see whether each conclusion is valid. So let's say we survey 20 residents who live closest to the new sign. 15 support the sign and 5 do not, so we conclude that 75% of the residents support the new sign. So I would say that because these are only the people who live closest to the sign, I would say this is biased, this is invalid. Because people who live closest to the stop sign might be more interested in having the stop sign, right? They might have their kids playing outside and they want it to be safe. So they are probably more likely to want the sign than the rest of the population. Okay, let's look at the second one. You survey 100 residents at random. 40 support the new sign, 60 do not, so we conclude that 40% of the residents support the sign. This one I would say is more likely to be valid because the people are surveyed at random. It's also 100 residents, which is a pretty good sized population if you're surveying for a full town. All right. Let's go ahead and look at example 3 where we are making predictions. So if you ask 75 randomly chosen students, all right, that's our hint that this is an unbiased sample, we want to know how many movies they watch each week. There are 1,200 students in the school. We want to predict the number of students who watch 1 movie each week. Okay, so in this survey, there were 21 students who chose 1 movie, and that's 21 out of the 75 that you surveyed. We want to figure out how many watch 1 movie out of the full population. So we're just solving this proportion. We could use cross products if we want to. We could myself a little more room for that. So I'll say 75 in equals 25,200. We'll divide by 75. And N equals 336 students. Okay, and then we want to think, is that a reasonable estimate? Yeah, it's probably about a third or so, and this answer is about a third. So that seems like a reasonable choice. Okay, that is it. Go ahead and try a few on your own. I'll see you soon.